right, hello and welcome to another episode of A Fresh Perspective with Jeff Charles, with your favorite conservatarian, Jeff Charles, where we choose truth over narrative and principles over politics. And I've got a very, very special guest for you guys today. You're gonna love him or hate him. I think it's either one or the other with this man, but I love him. But before we get into everything, you know what to do. You got to like this video, you got to share this, and you got to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new interview, which I do every Wednesday and Friday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern. Now, without further ado, I'm just gonna bring him on. I have with me the man, the myth, the legend, Townhall senior columnist, Kurt Schlichter. Welcome to the program. Ta-da! Yeah. You're like a celebrity. You're my first celebrity that I had on my show.
I'm a celebrity?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the saddest freaking thing I ever heard, man. If I had any kind of human emotions, if my heart hadn't been removed in law school, I'd probably have cried right now. God, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I know.
I got to call Larry O'Connor up. Hey, man, I'm a celebrity now. He's like, oh, dear God.
Well, he's a celebrity too. So, I mean, if that doesn't say anything about the state of our country, I don't know what does.
Yeah, that is a sad commentary. Looking O'Connor. You know, fun story. About 13, 14 years ago, Larry was working for Breitbart as Stage Right, and he had the Stage Right show, which was an internet kind of radio show. He did every couple nights a week. And it had a small but growing audience. And every Thursday, me and this other crazy kid would join him and we do the Hour of Hate. That other crazy kid was Ben Shapiro.
Oh.
So we were just out doing it. You know, the fun part, the old school kind of Tea Party conservative crew was a lot like the comedians of the 90s or the bands of the 60s. They all knew each other and like slept on each other's couches. So it'd be like, we'd be like, go out, have a drink with like Dana Lash and Tony Katz, whatever. And it's just kind of funny. We all kind of went in our different directions. But at one time, we were just all hanging out, mostly online, since we all lived all over the place. But all these people, now all my friends have like radio shows. It's the weirdest thing. They're like,
you guys are rock stars.
Yeah, it's like, and I get to guest host all the time. I've turned down offers. I do other things, but we all kind of do different things. I got the novels and I got the book. New novel coming out in October. Everybody who likes the Kelly Turnbull series of conservative action novels is going to be very happy with number 7, which is called Inferno. It's a lot of fun. And then, gotta sell the books.
I just found out that you write fiction. I didn't know. I mean, I knew you had written nonfiction, but I didn't know that you wrote fiction. Yeah,
the fact that you didn't know it kind of shows why there's this huge void. I actually started writing really because I'm not going to name names of short formulaic hacks who write the same book all the time. I just got bored, because I like action adventure. So I decided to write these People's Republic books. America splits in two. What happens? And I can be funny. And I swear to God, the hero in this damn book, he gets in a shootout every day. It's so funny. It's so much. My rule of thumb was all good parts. I want it to be like a greatest hits album. You're probably too young to have albums.
No, I'm not. I'm almost there, but yeah, I did have greatest hits album.
But like all the songs are good. Normal album, unless it's like London Calling. You're not going to get an album where every song is good. There's going to be like 3 good songs, and then there's going to be stuff the band didn't spend a lot of time on. Well, I want my books to be all good stuff. Mm-hmm. I want all good parts. I didn't want to put a single thing in that I wasn't interested in writing, much less reading. So not a lot of parts about the the hero going, Dad, let's discuss our relationship. I've got a lot of feelings. I I hate all that hackney stuff. Yeah, there's nothing worse than like watching some show and you're supposed to have action and adventure, and suddenly they got to stop because they got to humanize the character, and they always humanize them the same way. Okay, Daddy never told him he didn't love it. Who loved him?
Right, it's always the same thing.
You know, some feelingsy crap, and it just I just hate it. It's so hack. I don't understand why people don't do all good parts. You know, I'm watching this elf opera, right? The Lord of the Rings thing. Okay, good part. You know, your good part. Neat scenery, or somebody's got a sword. There's a dwarf and he's tossing another dwarf. You know, something that dragon. That's a good part, right? Mm-hmm. Instead, you got, you know, some guy pensively looking over the sea, going, "I am conflicted about my feelings."
Get over it. Just go kill a dragon. Go kill an ogre,
man. You know, come on. Pull out your +1 saber. I don't know. I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons in quite a long time, ever since I learned about sex. You know, I just, gosh, and gosh, everything's so woke and stupid. And my books are like anti-woke. Mm-hmm. They like make fun of it. That's their thing. That's another beef I have. And I think one of the great, you know, a lot of people say the greatest contribution of Andrew Breitbart was, you know, mobilizing people and telling them they could do something. Now, the greatest thing about Andrew Breitbart was teaching us to have fun. And be funny. Mm-hmm. You know, politics doesn't have to be this painful thing. There's nothing worse than some bow-tied nerd from the Eagle Forum for Liberties, Families, Forums, Freedoms, and more Eagles, and also forums. And, you know, these self-serious Durwoods with their, you know, cruise ship panels on, yeah, we're going to have Ramesh Ponnuru on healthcare reform. And a little while later, Jim Swift will be doing some interpretive dance wearing a thong. You know, this kind of crap. And it's just like, you know, conservatism.
You feel like you're in a classroom.
Well, no, I look, I mean, if it's a good class, that's cool. You know, you get the right teacher. True. It's great. Mm-hmm. I don't mind learning much. I mind self-serious dorks. And here's another beef as your interview goes completely off the rails. If I have another 23-year-old geek with, you know, a degree in political philosophy from Hillsdale College start lecturing me about my failure to commit to conservatism, where, you know, he was still a zygote swimming around his dad's testicles when I was actually leading American soldiers in a war zone in the defense of our Constitution, I'm going to shriek.
Wait, why was somebody? Well, I want to ask you about
this. Has happened again and again in the last week.
Have you stopped being a conservative? Because I haven't noticed that.
Well, I did write an article, which I thought was pretty good, in Townhall, saying, you know, I'm not what the label is, because these people go, well, you're not conservative. And I look, I'm not here to conform to a first of all, some, you know, 20-something's conception of a term. I'm not, his label does not guide me. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I have to submit to the cultural tyranny of Disney, because this little freak thinks that a conservative is morally obligated to let Mickey Mouse redesign the culture without my input. You know, my feeling is they use their power, I use mine. Mine just happens to be political power. We got the votes, so we're gonna use it. I don't understand.
Like have consequences.
I don't understand surrender, which is a thing a lot of these conservatives do, and a thing that Andrew Breitbart never did. My feeling is there is no conservative principle worth having that makes me less free. So you get, you know, the David French is telling you, well, you know, I guess having drag queens, you know, shake their grooved thing in front of 4-year-olds, that's just a blessing of liberty, and we just have to suck it up. What the hell
was that? Like, how do you come out? You know, it's like people say that Trump broke people so badly, and you know, that sounds like hyperbole, but no, he really did break some people.
He certainly did, but I think they were already pre-broken. They were all grifters. Okay, David French who he's just a pathetic loser on a lot of levels. But these guys, they never wanted to fight. They never wanted to do the uncomfortable thing to be unpopular. And remember, all human endeavor is essentially high school.
Yeah.
The same principles apply. People seeking power, people seeking fame, people trying to get laid. This is, and they compete, and they're not always honest, and they're not always perfect, and that goes for our side too, obviously. Mm-hmm. But these are guys who like their position in the world of the establishment, and their position was the conservatives, and it was a mediocre position, undistinguished, but you know what? It was theirs. Yeah. It was like when you're in the army and there's like the not really bright soldier and he gets assigned to hand out volleyballs. Well, he's in command of that volleyball room.
Yeah, you don't touch his balls.
You don't touch his balls without his permission. You're going to fill out Army Form 6297, volleyball requisition form in triplicate. And if you don't fill it out completely right, you're not getting the volleyball because it's his thing. And I get that. That's human nature. People want to defend what they have, even if they essentially have nothing. And these guys had nothing. They got invitations to the party, but they didn't go home with a hot chick. They went home with a Kleenex. So these guys, that's who they were. And they were perfectly happy losing. And then normal people whose lives are actually affected by this stuff, when you're a mom and groceries are 13% higher than they were last year. Okay. Well, as a powerful lawyer, of course, it doesn't really affect me. The hell it doesn't. I pay $10.18 for a damn quarter pounder with cheese. Sometimes you just need a quarter pounder with cheese, right?
Sometimes you do. Like
sometimes you got to get that umami.
It's like sleeping with that. It's like sleeping with that ugly woman. Sometimes you do it, but you don't want to admit it.
Yeah. But you got needs. And 1018. Okay, there are a lot of people out there. They spend 1018. That changes the nature of their month. That hurts.
It can.
Look, I'm a guy who started out making $3.10 an hour at Carl's Jr., mopping out toilets. It's hard.
My first job was Carl's Jr. too. That's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
I met Andy Pusner, who actually ran Carl's Jr., and he's kind of out there in the conservative world. And every time I see him, I'm like, he used to work for you guys. Nice. It was a formative experience. I never want to do it again, but I'm glad. It's like being a private in the Army. I didn't want to do it, but I'm glad I did it.
Right.
A great thing to have done. But, there are real consequences to stuff that to these guys, to these, Beltway nerds are just hypotheticals. And I think the reason that they have no gigs now is normal people said, wait, we need help. We illegal aliens, for instance, I got hit by a car by a guy who wasn't from this country. He didn't have insurance. And the cop said, what can I do? You can't hit my car and cost me $800. That's a lot of money to me. Yeah. And these guys are like, well, as the Cato Institute points out, labor should be able to transit across. I don't want dudes who don't have insurance running into my car.
Yeah, and you talk about that in your book, We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America. And, I was paying attention politically back then, but I wasn't doing what I do now. But it's interesting to hear kind of like almost like behind the scenes. Because people think that Trump started this whole thing. No.
You are correct.
This started a long time ago with the
there were unmet needs, and Trump saw them just sitting there. We had 17 people running for president. Only one of them thought, well, here's an issue set everybody's concerned about, but all the people in the business won't talk about because they've been told not to, starting with illegal aliens.
Imagine that. He campaigned on actually solving some of these problems.
On solving a problem people were concerned about. And, oh my gosh. Well, he's just the worst person there. He's a giant racist. Why? He doesn't think people should be able to come over our border without asking. No country does, or at least didn't until like the last 10 years ago. Yep. And then Merkel and everything suddenly found that they're obligated to But freaking Germans. I'm so glad my ancestors left. I lived there for 3 years. Just crazy place. But you know, I don't think it, you know, when normal people are told why it's outrageous that you think people should have to abide by the law that was literally passed by your representatives and signed by a president, we're just not going to enforce that. We're not going to ask you about it. We're just not going to do it. For democracy. Because remember, not actually enforcing the laws that are passed, that's democracy.
Right.
So you get to vote, it just doesn't matter. Because we've decided we're just not going to do it.
We're not going to really do anything when we get into office.
Well, we're actually going to do the opposite, even though it's the law. And that's how democracy works, you insurrectionist. You know, I was on this. If I hear one more thing about the freaking January 6th thing, I've been in bigger schoolyard fights. I've been in bigger riots. I was on the street for 3 weeks, you know, in the LA riots with the army.
Yeah, I lived in the South Bay at the time. I was a kid.
Oh, really? Where were you?
I was in Lawndale.
Oh, okay. That's right there.
Okay.
That's Lawndale. It's Aviation and Rosecrans.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I was probably like 11, 12 years old or so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All that stuff's on fire. My unit was in Inglewood. That was sketchy.
Yeah, I think
all my troops were from there. They were from Inglewood, or South Central. Oh my gosh, those guys did not take guff. I will tell you, we hit the streets. No one's rioting around my guys.
You're right.
They weren't taking it. They're like, you're not burning my city down. Nope. And I got an assault rifle, a real one. And it says you're going to not act like a fool. That was 3 weeks on the streets. That was so when I start hearing about how, terrible it is because some guys like tussled it up with the cops. Get over it.
But the thing is, I know why they're doing this. I was in a debate with a Democratic strategist for Sky News a couple of weeks ago, and we had a back and forth about 30 minutes long, and but the host would bring up stuff about the economy, inflation, yada yada yada, midterm elections, Biden's speech, Trump's speech after that, and every time he had a segment, he would bring up January 6th, even though it wasn't really part of the conversation. Like it was brought up earlier, but he kept bringing it up. And I let him do it a few times because I knew what he was doing. And then when it was my turn to speak again, I said, if you notice, my colleague here is talking about, it keeps bringing up January 6th over and over and over again, just like Democrats have been doing for the past year and a half or so.
Let them.
There's a reason why. They have nothing else to run on. They haven't done anything.
Yeah, it is. It's Jeffrey Toobin's Zoom call. It makes them feel better, but it lacks dignity and a point. Yeah, I mean, guys, if you want to run on, most normal people are like, and
yeah, when you go to HEB or you go to Ralph's or wherever, you're not thinking about January 6th.
I've literally never had anybody mention anything about that in a normal conversation ever. I don't mean once or twice. I mean none. And I literally don't care. People are like, that's the worst thing. I mean, I don't care at all.
Wait, so you don't think it's worse than 9/11?
Yeah.
Like even that, like downplaying 9/11.
People who say it's worse than 9/11. Can't count to 11 without taking their pants off. I think some of this stuff is kind of stray voltage. It tries to get you engaged with nonsense. Mm-hmm. So when somebody goes, "This is worse than 9/11," I think the thing is mock and move on.
Yep.
Don't get sucked into an argument with morons.
Yep.
A lot of my tweets lately have been, oh, shut up, you idiot.
I've seen those. That's enough said.
I literally, people, that's not an argument. You're right. An argument is something I bill you hundreds of dollars an hour to make. Okay, I'm a lawyer. I know a little about arguments, and I'm not going to make it because A, you're unworthy of it. B, it's worthless. We're not having a good faith discussion. I'm never going to convince you because the point's not convincing. The point is you retaining power. And as long as I understand that, I'll just operate under that. Okay, I accept that reality. I'll just operate in that context. I'm just going to try and collect enough power to crush you and destroy your dreams.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that because that's actually my policy. And that's what I tell other people who like get into Twitter. I'm like, when you see this stuff, you don't need to make an argument unless you're doing so for your followers or because you're entertaining yourself. Other than that, you either ignore it or you mock it. And that's it. Yeah. My time is valuable. Now there are people out there who I've turned conservative. I'll talk to somebody who's interested. Yeah. Kurt, why do you think that? Oh, well, this is why I think that. Oh, okay. Like maybe I agree, maybe I disagree, but whatever. Yeah. It doesn't happen a lot. I think argument in our politics has essentially died, which is a problem. And that's why you see people going, because inherent in the idea of the democracy they talk about, which is really a representative republic with democratic elements, but let's not go crazy. Let's just call it democracy because the label doesn't control. In a democracy, you're trying to get votes, which means you have to persuade, which means you have to have arguments. Arguments are an essential component of democracy. Okay, if we're not doing arguments, if you have, that daddy showering pervert coming out and saying, yay, inflation went down this month. And it literally did the opposite. And there's a ticker showing the stock market crashing, like at the same time. Okay. You can't have an argument. So you can't really have a democracy. You've got to find another way to resolve disputes. And that becomes power. And you see people exercising power. Well, I'm going to force Twitter to silence these people. Yeah. Or I'm going to send the FBI after them. Or whatever. Okay, if we're out of the realm, if we're now in the realm of power, the inevitable, there's going to be an inevitable slide to the bottom because somebody's not going to go, whoop, he turned the FBI on me. I'm done. Yeah, better toss it in. That's it. Better toss it in. No, they're going to do something themselves. And, down that road lies a lot of problems like violence. It's just human nature. When you tell people, well, you're not going to persuade, you're not going to get anything you want by, using honest debate. Okay. Then I guess I'll have to find another way to get what I want. Because not getting what I want is not one of my options. So how do you see this playing out in the future? I mean, you in your book, it's the fall and rise. So you strike an optimistic tone, but if persuasion is going away, and I do kind of see that happening, I do. Where do you see this going? Well, it could go in a very bad direction. I'm hopeful that there are enough normal people out there that they will reject the people who don't do this. But the problem, the challenge is all the institutions are controlled by the same ruling class people. You have a regime media. I mean, imagine if Trump got out there on the day that inflation hit a new record and said, inflation's going down. I mean, we spent a lot of time going, imagine if Trump did it. But, imagine if Trump did it. It's becoming evidence that you're not based if you actually use an example to show they're hypocrites instead of just assuming. But until somebody does in the regime media, that's a vital function is not going to be performed. When somebody does, when they fear accountability, and remember, this is all about making sure there's no accountability for the ruling class. Right. Because they are incompetent and stupid and greedy. I mean, these are remarkably unaccomplished people who've literally done nothing but inherit their position in society. It was just handed to them. And it's all they got. And
they don't do a good job, and they, until we change that, and that means destroying some institutions, because it's easier to wipe out the institution than the people infesting it. I am all for dismantling and defunding the FBI, for instance. And a lot of soft Republic. Well, there are a lot of good people working there. Really? Name one. What's the name of the person who said, "Here's my badge. I'm not going to go raid your political enemy for bullshit reasons."
Right.
What's the name of the guy who said no? What's the name of the general who got fired over Afghanistan? Or Iraq, for that matter? Yeah. What's that? Where are the good guys? I suppose there's some nice people working there, but they're nice people who prioritize their pension.
Right.
Well, I can do more from inside. Well, that's worked out pretty freaking great.
Well, yeah, you're not doing it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I hear there are a bunch of whistleblowers. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah. So I say just destroy the whole thing and make an example of it. I mean, it's been, the FBI's been poorly designed anyway. Mixing counterintelligence with regular law enforcement is, other countries don't do that. Yeah, Britain has Scotland Yard and it has MI5. Israel has their police forces and it has Shin Bet. They don't mix that stuff up. Of course, the FBI does, and it's a disaster. And it was a disaster under Hoover. At least he chased commies around. At least he did something useful.
But it's interesting to see the people who historically were against the FBI, the progressives, they bring up COINTELPRO, they bring up all kinds of corruption. I mean, the FBI has been corrupt from its inception. Yes. It didn't just start.
Yeah.
But then now they're saying, oh, no, we need the FBI. We love the FBI.
Well,
there were some of us who were saying we need to burn this thing down even before the raid. So,
well, they always want their personal secret police. And why not just take the one that exists and use that? It's convenient. And they say, well, conservatives, you don't back the blue. Well, you're right. I don't back the police that act as the regime Stasi. You correctly assess my situation. Well, you want to defund the police? Yes, the ones that support and serve the regime. Yes, you've correctly asserted. They don't want to defund the police. They want to defund police that's going to stop them.
Yeah.
And remember, they like crime. You deserve to be afraid in your home.
Yeah. And we're going to disarm you too. So we're
going to disarm you at the same time. Yeah. Now, do you think for a second, though, there's ever going to be crime in their neighborhoods? I remember what Beverly Hills did during the riots. They shut down Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
I could get in because I was a soldier. No one else.
Yeah.
You didn't go in. And if your skin color was wrong, you super didn't go in.
Mm-hmm.
Beverly Hills. And the funny thing is they made no bones about it. They weren't even covering things. They're like, go.
Yeah, they weren't shy about it. They never are.
Yeah, we're not playing. We're all the BS is gone.
Yeah,
this is pure and simple.
Even the riots that happened after George Floyd, where did they happen? It wasn't in any rich neighborhoods. They weren't having it. No. Like they'll say defund the police, let's have fewer police because that's going to affect other people, not them.
Yeah,
yeah. And
I live in the South Bay by the beach. You think there's going to be a riot? You think our cops are going to let somebody get stupid?
Nope.
No, that's not going to happen. And they'll this is Ted Lieu's district. This is not a bunch of right wingers, man. I'm diversity for everybody because I'm a Christian conservative military veteran. I check these 3 boxes. And I'm like the only one anybody knows. And it's not even hypocrisy because they make no bones about it.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, I'm not a hypocrite. I want this to happen, but not to me.
Yeah.
That's hypocritical. Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's have open borders and let them all in. Oh, but then the Abbott Express goes to Chicago. The Abbott Express goes to New York City and to Chicago. Now it's NIMBY, not in my backyard.
Oh, yeah. Now it's like, what, New York City can't handle, 2 busloads of illegal aliens. Yeah, let's let Uvalde handle 600,000.
Yeah. So
108,000 people died last year of fentanyl overdoses, and every single dose came over that open border.
Sure did.
They just let 108,000 people die, and they haven't blinked.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't blinked. In fact, I don't know if it was what's her name, the spokeswoman, or somebody else who basically said, "Well, we're handling the border perfectly. Our only problem is Republican obstruction."
Oh no, that was Black Hillary.
Black Hillary?
Yeah, Kamala Harris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. What I call her. She's Black Hillary.
Black Hillary. Okay. Well, she's not as smart as, how did Hillary become the smartest person ever, by the way? When did that, what is her accomplishment?
She married Bill Clinton.
She had sex with him at least once, maybe.
I
don't want to go into that. I don't want to go into that. I don't want to fall that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
No, I mean, she is actually the perfect example of ruling class. She is unaccomplished.
Mm-hmm.
She was just basically handed stuff. She is stupid. She is any worse than, look, I can handle dumb people. There are a lot of people who aren't quote unquote smart, who are perfectly adequate people because they're wise. Right? Mm-hmm. There's always like the janitor at school was not, he's not going to get a particle physics degree at Stanford. But, he said something like, well, Kurt, if you don't like, if somebody's bullying you, you punch him, he'll stop. That's wise, right?
It is wise.
He's a smart cat. And frankly, he could fix a door lock. I can't fix a door lock.
Mm-hmm.
He's a wise guy. There's I will take wisdom over smarts any day. Because smart always brings ego.
That's true. I mean, wisdom. People who are wise know that they don't know everything.
Yes.
But smart people, they know that they know everything. Supposedly,
smart without wisdom is a huge problem in our society. We have a bunch of people with a bunch of credentials who don't have the sense, God gave a hamster. All right. Yeah. And you just look at them, only super smart credentialed people could decide that we're going to have all electrical vehicles in 10 years. And by the way, we've also designed a power system that literally at the same time we're announcing that we got to tell you not to charge your vehicle.
That was beautiful.
But it so perfectly encapsulates it. And they look at something like that and it doesn't bother them because their goal isn't actually to achieve. It's just simply to maintain and exercise power.
Yeah, and it is all about power. And this last question, because I know you got to get back to your lawyering.
Got to lawyer it up.
Yeah. So it is about power, and you say that in your book. That's like a recurring theme. It's not about solving the problem; it's about having power. I mean, because really, if they solve the problem, then what? But solving a problem is just not the issue. Mm-hmm.
It literally has nothing. It's not a concern. The issue is they're having and exercising power. It's fun to exercise. Look, it's fun to be powerful.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed being a commander when I commanded, thousands of guys. I like that. I think I liked it for the right reason.
Right.
I didn't enjoy the bossing around part. I enjoyed being able to bring together a bunch of people and you have a problem and you solve it. And that was very rewarding. That's the right attitude. And that's the attitude we need from our institutions. But we don't have that. It's not encouraged because, what institution teaches selflessness? And not even the military does anymore. Military is all about self now. Oh, well, I am the daughter of, 2 gay women.
Oh,
okay. But see, the problem starts with the pronoun. Right at the beginning. That's the problem. The right answer is my country is great and it is an honor to serve her. There, that pronoun's okay. Her.
Yeah. Ask not what your country can do for
you.
And
then by me personally, well, my background is, I had, 2 gay parents. Okay. But that becomes over there, when the mission's done and you're, having a beer. The proper thing is service of the country. And that's what it used to be. If you look at the old Marine ads, even some of the new ones, it's always about that. Marines, good Lord. Marines had their head straight in a lot of ways, which was, it's about being a Marine. Not about, don't care anything about you. You don't matter. You only matter in the context of being part of the Marines. And again, I enjoyed the military. I was in the military for decades.
Right.
I don't want to be in the military all the time.
Right.
And it is very different from normal life. But as part of that little culture, and all institutions that have that way, it's not about you. You have that dumb one. I'm a neurodivergent, bisexual, differently abled Latinx Hindu working at the CIA. And I have depression. It's like, okay, you told me a lot of stuff, none of which accurately assesses any of our enemies' capability or threats against us. None of that.
What does that have to do with spying on our enemies?
Well, yeah. And, I bring to the table a bunch of things that. Don't tell me what you bring to the table. Bring me an accurate assessment of our enemy that it provides usable, actionable intelligence. And maybe, my background as being a, Hindu, differently abled person helped me do it. But the thing is, I did it. It's not that other stuff. Yes, I think somebody who comes from a Persian family may have some great abilities to assess Iranian threats. But I'm not hiring a guy whose parents were Iranian. I'm hiring somebody who wants to be in the CIA.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just find it so tedious. I think when I was in the military, it was I think in a lot of ways we really got beyond nonsense. And at the best of times, we were all working as a team. And that was great. And I mean, all institutions are imperfect. I understand that. But ours are flawed from the get-go, considering who runs them.
There was that Gallup poll that showed that trust in institutions is at all-time lows. There's a reason for that.
What I mean, yeah, and that means trust in our ruling class. And you look at what's the ruling class brought us? What's the great success that our leader group, and there's always going to be a leader group. I'm not angry that there is. There's always going to be some people want to go be, look, I like being a person who goes out and comments publicly. I don't know if that puts me in the ruling class, but I like doing that stuff. Most people want to do different things. But what's this group of people actually done? And you can tell me the last wars of the 20 years have been a super success?
Yeah.
Has that been super effective? Is life better for you? I mean, yeah, I got my cell phone. Great. Swipe left, swipe right. Has that made life better? Are people running around? Are people happier? Are they better? I saw a bunch of idiots wearing masks outside, for 2 years. I don't know. I don't think they've done a very good job. I know that's not revolutionary, but I think they've let us down. I think we deserve better, and I think hopefully we will expect better.
So that's where I wanted to go. I mean, you talk about power. The elites have power; they want to hold on to it. How and it sounds like us non-elites need to get the power to get them out. So how do we do that? Like, how do we facilitate pushing them from their pedestals and getting leaders who actually do want to solve problems? Like, how do we push back against this so that we can have that rise again?
I think we are. And I think, first of all, I also think that there is some crossover to some of the people traditionally thought of as left. I had a very good friend who was very left, known him almost 55 years, 60 years. And he says, look, I don't think I've changed any, but I think, now they call me conservative because I have doubts about big corporations. Mm-hmm. And I don't like being told I have to take a vaccine. And I think there are a lot of people who can't be really categorized by a particular label who are demanding more. And I think we're getting some politicians, and of course things get done through politicians, and that's just how it gets done, like a Ron DeSantis, who is demanding more. Mm-hmm. And I think slowly but surely the Republican Party is going that way. Very slow. You still have nitwits like Lindsey Graham deciding, well, we just got terrible news about inflation. I think today I will offer a position on abortion that's 180 degrees in opposition to the one that we've been talking about. Would I like to see no abortions? I certainly would.
Yeah.
Am I going to suddenly say, after saying and meaning this issue should be decided at the state level, and then we'll go win hearts and minds at the state level? Now we're just going to do it at the federal level. No, and not today.
Yeah, bad timing, Lindsay.
I mean, that's Lindsay. Lindsay's always for Lindsay. I mean, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
But it's just annoying.
It is. It's like, do these people, well, I mean, it goes back to what you were talking about at the beginning. Like, do these people actually want to win, or do they just want to pontificate?
They just want power.
Yeah.
And pontificating is power.
It is.
I mean, look, it's not a bad gig when, hey, Jeff Charles wants me to be on his show. That's nice. That's fun. I had, let's say I did one hit this morning. I turned down 2, and I've done yours. I like when people call me up to be on a hit. It strokes my ego. It's nice to be wanted. Look, I'm a lawyer. I definitely want people to listen to me. But I mean, the thing is, when getting your rewards are the priority rather than the mission, then you're going to have what we have now, which is people not focusing on the mission, but people focusing on just maintaining. It'd be like me. Oh God, I got to make sure I keep getting calls. I'll just say what they want to hear. Well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to say what I think.
Yeah. Do you think, because this applies to our politicians, but it applies to people like us too, telling people what they want to hear. Do you think this new breed that's coming up in the media, in the conservative media, and in politics is kind of veering away from that? Or do you think it's kind of more the same, or a little bit of both?
Well, look, I think there are definitely some MAGA people who are more MAGA than who talk more MAGA than they actually are because they think that's a meal ticket. But this is, again, life is high school, human nature.
Yeah, that's true.
We're going to have grifters on our side too. Yeah. But there are other people who mean it, who sincerely want to improve things and then go back to doing what they've always done. So I am cautiously optimistic. It's funny. They nominated this general in New Hampshire yesterday. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats actually put a ton of money in to get him in because he's he says what he thinks. The other guy, the guy who's running against him, the guy McConnell was helping, lot softer, and arguably, a stronger candidate because he could better appeal to moderates. At least that's the thought. The voters said, no, we're not having it. We're taking the unadulterated. We're taking this guy.
Mm.
Now, there were a lot of candidates. So he'll end up winning with like 35% of the vote. And that is a problem among the Republicans. We had way too many candidates. And there are bad candidates who don't drop out, like Eric Greitens. He had to be beaten.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people are really demanding stronger stuff and really do want to change, and they're willing to risk letting the Democrats take a seat rather than put in a guy who's soft, as they see it. And I don't know if the guy's soft. I'm not really damn sure. I don't know. I think I interviewed the general once on a show, and he was just fine for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, but if the perception is that you're not going to fight, that's gonna ding you.
yeah. And there are a lot of them. I mean, you got, it's just, you look at a lot of these senators, and I really don't think that they actually talk to normal people, because they'll come out and go, I'm working across the aisle, Cornyn. I'm working across the aisle with the Democrats about gun control. What's the name of the Republican voter who sent you to Washington, dipshit, to work on gun control? What's the name of it? I'd like to know. What's his name? I just, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, this is Texas. That doesn't exist. We definitely didn't send him to the Senate to pass gun control laws. Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, he loved it because the Washington Post was nice to him for an hour, and then went back to like treating him like trash.
Yeah.
Well, I think these guys deserve to be stuck in the back. You play with these guys, and they're going to screw you. Mm-hmm. Don't kiss up to them. Mm-hmm. They're always going to hate you. At least have them respect you and fear you.
Yeah. They're never going to like you. That's not going to happen.
Well, look, you just got to understand you got to know what time it is. You have to. I love that expression. He knows what time it is. Mm. I love that. It just sums it up, because there's a lot of people who don't. A lot of people think it's 2005.
Yeah,
and they've read the last issue of the Weekly Standard on, on building bridges or some crap. Nope.
Yeah.
No. Time to fight. I know it's unseemly. I know you're gonna have to clutch some pearls. I know it's not who we are. We're better than that. I'm not better than that.
Not anymore.
I'm not better than that.
No, yeah, and I think that's a good thing to leave on. I mean, we do have to fight. I mean, we're not going to get everything right, but at the same time, we know what doesn't work because we've been doing it for decades. So let's try something a little bit different. I think we can still fight without sacrificing at least our deeply held foundational principles. I think we can still do it.
Well, look, politics is about compromising, which we have to understand, and we got to stop. The other thing is, I hate people who are lazy and go, I hate politics. Okay, politics is the way human beings resolve sort of peacefully, resolve disputes, and run their governments. Okay, so we have to be people. He's a political general. Well, I sure hope so. He's managing all these various interests. Mm. I mean, when I was an acting commander of a brigade of 5,000. That is a moving city. It does every function of a city. You think I was the mayor? You think you've got to be a politician because you're matching so we got to get behind the idea that there's something wrong with politics. There's nothing wrong with politics. There's wrong with people just being political. That is, narrow-mindedly seeking their own personal advantage. That's the problem.
Yeah,
a good politician. Ron Ray is a great politician. I want a great politician. Bill Clinton was a great politician. I don't like Bill Clinton personally. I don't like his policies. But boy, I wish we had some people who knew how to go out and talk to voters like he did.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
His taste in women, not so much.
Well, I can't argue with that. But before we sign off, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you?
Well, follow me on Twitter. Then, of course, We'll Be Back, Fall and Rise of America. Townhall column every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Then I do my little 10-minute stream of courteousness, which is usually profane. And then I did do a podcast every weekend for VIPs. That's always fun. It usually consists of me in my car talking.
Nice.
I literally, part of the fun is I literally have the world's worst production values. I just record myself somewhere. And Townhall's like,
bad.
He's hopeless. We'll just put it up.
Yeah, just let him do it. Yeah.
And of course, look for the new Kelly Turnbull novel, Inferno, dropping October 15th.
October 15th. You got it. Well, thanks for joining the program, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
I'd love to. Thanks a lot, man. It's been a lot of fun.